Splitting is a psychological manipulation tactic. It is a method used to create division and discord within a person's social circle. By turning friends, family, and colleagues against the targeted individual, the perpetrators aim to isolate the victim. This isolation can lead to severe emotional and psychological distress, making the victim more vulnerable to further manipulation and control. The tactic of splitting is not just about creating physical distance, but also about sowing seeds of doubt and mistrust. It can make the victim question their own reality and sanity, leading to a state of constant anxiety and fear. It is often used by abusers. These abusers can be individuals or groups who have a vested interest in controlling or harming the victim. In many cases, the abusers are skilled at identifying and exploiting the victim's vulnerabilities. They may use lies, rumors, and other forms of deceit to turn the victim's support network against them. This can be particularly devastating because it leaves the victim feeling alone and unsupported. The abusers may also use threats and intimidation to keep the victim in a state of fear, making it difficult for them to seek help or escape the situation. In the context of gang stalking, splitting takes on a sinister dimension. Gang stalking involves a coordinated effort by a group to harass and intimidate a targeted individual. The goal is to break down the victim's sense of self and make them feel powerless. Splitting is a key tactic in this process because it helps to isolate the victim from any potential sources of support. By creating divisions within the victim's social circle, the perpetrators can ensure that the victim has no one to turn to for help. This can lead to a sense of hopelessness and despair, making the victim more susceptible to further abuse. It involves the fragmentation of a targeted individual's support system. This can be done in a variety of ways, such as spreading false information, creating misunderstandings, and fostering mistrust. The goal is to create a sense of chaos and confusion within the victim's social circle, making it difficult for them to maintain healthy relationships. This fragmentation can also make it easier for the perpetrators to manipulate the victim, as they are less likely to have anyone to turn to for support or advice. The isolation that results from this fragmentation can be incredibly damaging to the victim's mental health and well-being. Perpetrators aim to isolate victims and make them doubt their sanity. This is done through a combination of psychological manipulation and social isolation. The perpetrators may use gaslighting techniques to make the victim question their own perceptions and memories. They may also use tactics such as stalking, surveillance, and harassment to create a sense of constant fear and anxiety. The goal is to break down the victim's sense of self and make them feel powerless. This can lead to a range of negative outcomes, including depression, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts. The impact of this type of abuse can be long-lasting and difficult to overcome. This video will delve into the phenomenon of splitting within gang stalking. We will explore the various tactics used by perpetrators to create division and isolation. We will also examine the impact of these tactics on the victim's mental health and well-being. By understanding the dynamics of splitting, we can better support victims and help them to rebuild their lives. It is important to recognize the signs of this type of abuse and to take action to protect those who are being targeted. By raising awareness and providing support, we can help to break the cycle of abuse and create a safer and more supportive environment for everyone. We will explore the tactics used against targeted individuals. These tactics can include surveillance, harassment, and intimidation. The goal is to create a sense of constant fear and anxiety, making it difficult for the victim to function normally. By understanding these tactics, we can better support victims and help them to regain control of their lives. It is important to recognize the signs of gang stalking and to take action to protect those who are being targeted. By raising awareness and providing support, we can help to break the cycle of abuse and create a safer and more supportive environment for everyone. And we will emphasize the importance of awareness and support for victims of this insidious form of abuse. By understanding the dynamics of splitting and the tactics used by perpetrators, we can better support victims and help them to rebuild their lives. It is important to recognize the signs of this type of abuse and to take action to protect those who are being targeted. By raising awareness and providing support, we can help to break the cycle of abuse and create a safer and more supportive environment for everyone. Together, we can make a difference and help to end the cycle of gang stalking and psychological manipulation. The use of splitting as a manipulation tactic becomes more prevalent. Splitting involves creating divisions within a group or between individuals, often by spreading misinformation or fostering distrust. In the context of gang stalking, this can mean turning friends and family members against the victim, making them feel isolated and unsupported. The goal is to destabilize the victim's social network, making them more vulnerable to further manipulation. Victims of gang stalking often find themselves isolated from their support systems. This isolation is a deliberate tactic used by gang members to weaken the victim's resolve and make them more susceptible to control. By cutting off the victim from their friends and family, the gang can exert more influence over them, making it easier to manipulate their actions and decisions. Their friends and family may be manipulated into believing that they are mentally unstable or paranoid. This is achieved through a combination of gaslighting and spreading false information. The gang may plant seeds of doubt in the minds of the victim's loved ones, causing them to question the victim's sanity. This can lead to arguments and conflicts, further isolating the victim and making them feel even more alone. This isolation makes victims more vulnerable to further manipulation and abuse. Without a support system to rely on, the victim may feel hopeless and trapped, unable to see a way out of their situation. The gang can then exploit this vulnerability, using it to exert even more control over the victim. This cycle of isolation and manipulation can be incredibly difficult to break, leaving the victim feeling powerless and alone. Gang stalking is a serious issue, often exacerbated by the use of splitting as a manipulation tactic. It is crucial to raise awareness about gang stalking and provide support to victims. By understanding the tactics used by perpetrators and the impact of splitting, we can better equip ourselves to combat this insidious form of abuse. Call to action: joining the conversation. The fight against gang stalking and the manipulative tactic of splitting requires a collective effort. We encourage you to share this information with your networks, engage in discussions about these issues, and support organizations dedicated to helping victims of stalking and abuse. Together, we can shed light on this dark corner of society and work towards creating a safer world for everyone.